All right, guys, let's see if I can record a quick video for you on how to use this, how to update this, kind of get you guys started in the right direction. Might not be a bad idea to grab pen and paper just for notes that you might need to take. But let me just kind of walk you through it. What you see here first, website. I just went with 3 quick pages. Just put something together so that looks good. You got plenty of space to work with and add some things, but don't worry if you can't fill everything yet. We can tweak and change. But went with kind of a general home, about us, contact us kind of a strategy. But again, all of this can change pretty easily. We can add, take away things. But I'm going to show you how to do your basic addition, subtraction of things, editing of things. So what you need to do first is Dion has already created a login for you guys. I think he created one for both of you to share. And you are going to want to go to your website, cornerstone-usa.com, and do /WP-admin. When you do that, it's going to forward you to this page, WP-admin. And it'll allow you to log in. And if you forgot your password, you can just do that sort of idea. Log in real quick. What's going to happen is once you log in, it's going to put you on your WordPress dashboard. Now, because you guys were looking at WordPress on your own before, there was a little confusion about WordPress.com versus what your website is. You own a version of WordPress, but it is not through WordPress.com. So don't go to WordPress.com trying to mess with your website. Yours is cornerstone-usa.com/WP-admin. This will get you what you need to. This is your dashboard. This affects your website in its entirety. When you get here and you land on the dashboard, you're going to see a few things. Number one, you're going to see a bunch of stuff. You got all kinds of garbage on your dashboard. Honestly, you don't need much of it. So you are welcome to go through and click the X to dismiss some things. You've got options here to turn off things that you don't really need to see. You don't need WordPress news. You don't need the welcome. You don't need the CSS Hero World. None of that stuff really matters to you. So you can customize that as you want. There's not a ton that you're going to ever really do with this first landing page. The second thing you see here is updates. Your website will need updates from time to time. WordPress itself will need updating. Some of the plugins that we're going to use for your website will need updating, and sometimes your themes will need updatings. And so it's pretty straightforward. On this update page, you have the option in each of these areas to update as few or as many things as you want. It is literally as simply as checking the box, clicking update. Once you do that, it's going to do its little process of updating. Put your website on what's called maintenance mode, so nobody can really see your website, but this takes like, oh, you're going to see 30 seconds and it'll be done. So it's a pretty quick process. I should have not done this on the video, but whatever, we'll roll with it. You guys are friends. You'll forgive me for wasting 30 seconds of your time. While it's doing its update, there's really not much else you can do. But while it's doing it, I can walk you around here. WordPress is divided into a couple different distinct areas. Posts are blog posts that you can press, that you can use. Media is like your images and your videos and that sort of deal. Pages is primarily what you'll deal with on this website. Those are static pages that really don't change a ton, where blog posts are updating constantly. You've got comments for your blog posts if people are using comments. Projects is a separate addition that you really won't mess with here. Appearance is going to be some themes, some widgets, some menu stuff. You shouldn't have to mess with this much, but I can walk you through how. Plugins is an area where we install plugins to do different things on your website. I've installed a couple of my plugins that make running and maintaining your website pretty dang easy. Users is how you control who can access your website and what they can do. Tools, won't really mess with, but gives you a few extra abilities. Settings are the general settings for your your website itself. It's things like cornerstone-usa.com. It is the default email address for administrative purposes. That is my email address. I would recommend changing that. So we're going to do Dion at cornerstoneusa.com. One of the things that I'm actually going to disable right now is the ability for anyone to register. So now nobody new can register for your website, which is security-wise a good thing. You don't want too many people trying to, if they accidentally find your website and figure out how to register, you don't want anybody to be able to really do that. But if you need somebody to be able to add registration, let's say Brittany needs a separate login from the one Dion created, the first thing you'll have to do is log in with the stuff that Dion created, turn this on, click the save button, and then log out, which is over here, and then you'll be able to create a new user. But you shouldn't really need that much. So we're going to go ahead and turn that off. All right, so that's your site. General settings. Most of this stuff you really won't have to mess with, honestly. Duplicator here. It's a backup program or plugin that I talked to Dion about, and it is a pretty straightforward process. I am not going to walk you through that in a minute because on this video, because it does takes about 5 minutes for the thing to run. I ran a general backup just a few minutes ago so that as you make changes, I have a backup to default to just in case something gets messed up. So the main areas that you really need to worry about is pages. What you see is the 3 pages that I walked you through earlier are set up in here, just named the general things that you need. Easiest thing to do is like your home page, your front page, just mouse over it, you get your edit option, and you can come in here and edit it. I always open it in a new tab so that as you're kind of editing, you can kind of look and see any changes that you need to. But what you saw when I loaded this page is it loaded this thing called the Divi Builder. Divi is a framework that we use inside of WordPress to make building websites and maintaining websites a lot easier. It is actually considered a theme, but it doesn't actually operate like a theme. If you've ever used themes here in WordPress, you kind of know how activating a theme changes the way it looks. Activating Divi does nothing. It just leaves your website as just kind of this general blog feel. But it builds a framework that you can make your sites look better. What we have set up is actually Divi as a framework with Cornerstone USA as what is called a child theme. And the reason is I'm able to customize, you're able to customize certain parts of your website, and anytime there's an update of Divi, clicking the update button, if Divi were live, would erase all of those changes, and we'd have to go back in, re-enter all of those changes one by one every time there's an update. Because we're doing it this way, this child theme is actually using Divi as the backbone of what it does, but updates won't affect the changes. So basically what I am saying is if you're in here playing and messing around, kind of leave this one as your active theme. Don't go in here and activate Divi as your live theme. It will mess up things. You can see these other ones here. Those are just kind of default backup ones if I'm ever working on something and need to default to something to fix something. You really shouldn't have to mess with that. But like I said, under your pages, once you come in here and edit, Divi is the framework we use to do everything. When you first go to a page to edit it, it will take a minute to load. You're going to get that white screen. And that little blue swirly thing just for a minute as it loads all of the different things. But what you have here is literally the building of your website here. Divi's divided up into sections in the blue. You've got rows here in the green. Each row can be subdivided into columns. So you can have a big section that has a row here that's a one column section, or a one column row, excuse me. Or you can have it where it's 2 columns on this row. You can have it 4 columns. It allows us kind of to subdivide the area, and then inside of each row there is a different module or different modules set up so that you can actually have content in there. So what we have here, I'll just show you. So we have right here this nice pretty image here with this big old text right here. That is this section, row, and module. The section has a background image. As you notice, most of the stuff we don't really mess with, but we did use this pretty house picture as the background image. We can change it simply by clicking upload an image. You got some stuff that's preloaded in here. You can also upload new files. You literally can drag it up here or click the button to select a file and upload. Goes to your media manager. You can click. You can set it as the background if you want to, and that changes that background right there. You actually could come into the row section, make some changes. I did a few customizations right there, but ignore that. You can do some changes. You can even add an background image here, but you really won't have to do that much. You can pretty much leave it as you have it. And then your module here, this is a module. Technically, you can add a button inside of the module that we're using. It's called a call to action module. But you really don't need it for your setup right now. Put it there for later. But here, you scroll down to where it says content, and this is what I have. I have this one sentence. We set it up as a heading number 2 sized, and then we highlighted here, and we actually changed the color. Now honestly, there's not as many options inside of WordPress as your typical. Sorry, I'm getting a call on my cell phone. As your typical word processing type of device. So there is an option over here to toggle from visual editor, which is what you see is what you get. You can make things bold, italics, to a text-based editor, which is what I use a lot to make changes. Like I added that splash of color using that. You shouldn't have to change much of that. If you've got questions about that, let me know. But if you wanted to change what that sentence said right here, you'd simply make that change right here. And this is an important distinction. You need to click save and exit, not save and add to library. That's a whole different process, and you just honestly can completely ignore that. You just save and exit. Now, once you've saved and exited, you also have to click update to update the page. Once you do that, it actually takes all of those changes that you've saved and pushes it live to your page. Once you refreshed, if we had made a change, you would notice it right in here. So that's that. You scroll down, things we can do for you. That's this big. It's the same thing. Same thing I had set up there, but instead of a background picture, we just have a nice white background. Each of these is set up as a blurb. Click on that. You see how it says we can do this? That's right here. Quite literally, you can mess with all of these different things. Look, the icons are right here. Oops, sorry. My scrolling's a little funky right now. That's how I picked that icon right there. The color, you can change all of that right there in that one. Save and exit, same way. Down here, this is this text here. Save and exit. I'll show you what it actually looks like. All right, it's processing that update, and then once it's processed, I click the button. Boom. It's that text I just added right there. That's how easy it is to update. You can see how we have that section divided up into these rows and modules right here. The nice thing is on some of these modules, if you want to be able to tell them apart a little easier, you can actually come to the very bottom that says admin label. And on some of these, I've already done this. You can change it to whatever you want, so it's a little easier to find on this back end. So now we've made that update. So you can go through and start changing some of these, thinking through maybe what you want it to say here. Honestly, if we need to, we can disable some of these so that there's not as much here if you can't think through all of that. I'd do my best if I were you to try to fill up, especially on your front page, as much text as possible, putting in more things in here. Make sure we're trying to fill out as many of these as possible. It would be great for you guys if you could get a couple testimonials that we could literally list on the front page as well. I would love to be able to add those. It just kind of adds a little credibility to your website. You'll notice here, though, there's this grayed out image, or this grayed out section right here that doesn't really correspond to anything on your main website. Reason is we've actually gone through and disabled part of this. I'm going to show you what we're doing here. Okay, so I've just re-enabled that, and if we click update, you're going to see this entire section appear. Give it a second. Boom. This entire new section here, which you didn't see a minute ago, is suddenly here. I've disabled that on your site by going to this page, scrolling down to the section that I want to disable, right-clicking on it, and it gives me this all these different options. You want to click on disable, and these icons, if you ever see them, simply stand for PC view, tablet view, and phone view. It actually, your site is what's called dynamic and responsive. So it responds dynamically to whatever size the screen is. So a smaller screen, it automatically scales and moves things around. It's responsive though in how it does this. At certain sizes, it repositions things and adds a different menu, adds your logo size a little bit different, that kind of deal. So whenever you're editing, sometimes it gives you the option of doing things only for tablet, only for phone, or excuse me, only for PC, only for tablet, or only for phone. I try to keep it fairly consistent. If you're not doing it on one, don't do it on the rest. So that section is disabled. Here's your testimonial area. And then you have one area at the bottom of this page that looks different than all the rest. And it is in this ugly color of green. The reason this section is in green is this is what's called a global section. This section appears the exact same way on every page of your website. So you scroll to the bottom, you got this footer area. It appears the exact same way. The reason it's green and called global is because I can make a change here and it will affect all three pages. So if you want to, let's say, change your, I don't know what we have, your street address one on this one, you know, I can make the change here. Cornerstone. Save and exit. Update. Now, even though I've just updated it on the home page, it actually will be reflected on all of the pages. So we're going to refresh the About Us, and look, Cornerstone street address. So I would go through for you guys. First thing I would do is start here with the home page, and I would go through the home page, and I would start deciding what text you want here, what text you want here, what text you want here, and start making some of these changes. See if you can grab some testimonials to add here. Be great if you had pictures. If not, we can disable this or add a different section or figure something else out. If you guys have a Facebook or a Twitter or any of these things, you can come in. You can come in here, social media follow, and make changes on any of these so that people can follow you on Facebook, that kind of deal. You kind of get the idea of how these work. I would go in and go ahead and make those changes. Same thing, start thinking through what you want it to say under About. You know, There's a lot of space for text on here. We can disable this entire text section if you want. We can have it only here. Rather than creepy dude with a saw, you might consider putting a nice picture of Dion here. Ooh, I need to actually fix that button. You're going to watch me fix that button. I get a little warning anytime I'm going to leave a page and I haven't saved it. Your browser should do that as well. If not, you'll learn quickly not to do that. Go back to all pages. It's thinking I'm making a change, but I'm not. So we're going to go to the About Us page now. This button here should take us to the Contact Us page, but I didn't set that up yet. So you're going to see how that works. Oh, this is also very similar. This is the About Us page, set up in a very similar fashion. You see all of that. Has a section that I've disabled as well. Has your global menu. But right here should be that button. Here's the button URL. So contact us. Save and exit. Update. Right now, if I were to click on it, if you see in this lower left-hand corner, it says About Us / the hashtag sign should, when I hit refresh, should take us now to / contact us, which is your third page in here. I don't know why it's warning me every time now. There must be something wrong with my browser. Contact us. It's very similar. You can decide how you guys want this laid out. Kind of use some basic pictures for you guys. Found some decent ones that I thought would fit well in what you're doing. But same kind of deal. One little section I want to show you, and that's how to. Sometimes it takes a minute. That's how to adjust the contact form. Under, you see it's set up the exact same way. Contact us, send us a message. Here's your contact form. Here's your contact form. Click this little hamburger menu, by the way, is the edit menu on all of this back end stuff. Right now, all you're asking for is name, email, and message. You can actually add other things like phone if you wanted. Phone type, you're going to want text area. Required full width. You can kind of mess with that if you want. If you want to add stuff, you don't have to necessarily add anything. But you do need to add the email address that you want this to go for. Or excuse me, go to. So, if you wanted, I guess I don't have Dion's. If you wanted to go to Dion's or if you wanted to go to Brittany's, add it here, click save and exit so that it actually gets to you. You can also scroll down here. Once it's successfully sent, you can have it put a different message on there. The default message, I think, just says the form is sent successfully. So you can leave that blank if you want. That's all there is to it. Save and exit. Goes back out here. Click update to update. Same kind of deal. So I hope you guys kind of got the quick and dirty of how to make this work for you guys and how to change it. If you have questions, don't hesitate to send me a message. Send me an email, text message, and I'll help walk you through it. Don't be afraid to play either. If you're worried about it, it's not a big deal. I got a backup. I can fix it. I will say this: once you're logged in to your dashboard, what you're going to notice here is that your main website, when you're looking at the front side of it, changes quite a bit. It adds this bar across the top, and it adds this blue box with a lightning bolt. This has just some basic stuff for editing that you really probably won't use much. Divi recently, in their newest release, put what's called a visual builder on the front side of your website. And if you only have minor edits, you can actually click this. And what it's going to allow you to do, give it a second, spinny colorful wheel, white page. What it's going to allow you to do is while you actually see your website, click in different areas and go ahead and make changes. I am not a big fan personally of the visual builder, but it might be because I learned to do all of this the hard way, and so that's just what I'm used to. But let's say you wanted to make a change on some text. You quite literally could click on the text, make that change, and I think you have to click on this. Give it a second. Or it doesn't like me right now. Something's going funky with my browser. I might be trying to do too much with recording. Anyway, you'll be able to click this, and there's actually a save button that appears over here. Right now, it's not liking me, but I can exit this visual builder. So I typically edit everything on the backside so that there's no confusion on any of this. But the other thing that you saw here that I showed you is this funky lightning bolt box. Just ignore that. This is actually some coding stuff that allows me to do some coding a little bit easier. I had to make an adjustment to like your logo size so it was readable, and I had to use this. You shouldn't have to use this at all, but it allows me to generate some code for stuff. So just ignore this blue box with the lightning bolt is basically what I'm telling you. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. Get started, just jump in, start adding things, changing things, messing with things. If you have some big questions, email me, text me, whatever. And that's about it. Talk to you guys later.